Introduction again. He's the chairman. Oh, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking. The doors are open, and I will give you the word. I think you can get a mic here, or do you would like to stand there? That's great.
If it works. I'm wondering what happens when the doors are opened, that everybody can leave, I guess, if I speak.
No.
First of all, I'll be very short, but let me start by saying that I'm extremely proud as chair of the Max van der Stoel Foundation that we have this 30 years. 30 years of finally a conversation between progressives in Africa, in Europe, and in the Netherlands. And I thank you all for participating in that. We don't have many global conversations anymore. We're all inward looking, we have our own prejudices, we are fragmented, we are polarized. But we really need an honest conversation with each other. And I'm very proud that so many people have come here today. People from the African diaspora, African experts, Africans who came from very far, Africans who came from FEPS, our think tanks in Africa. Thank you for being here. Give them all a big applause for being here with us. Thank you for all the activists, the NGOs, the members of different political parties that you came here today. This is the 30th time, and I'm very proud, not so much for us, but for all of you to make this new narrative, which we need between Africa, the Netherlands, and Europe, possible. Thank you very much. And may I thank also the support of our party chairwoman. It is extremely important. We used to, I think, Kisa, you were absolutely right. We were some here you are. We were a little bit of do-gooders 30 years ago. I was there actually 30 years ago, believe it or not, I'm getting very old. And at that time, it was really the rank and file of the Dutch Labour Party. And it was actually interesting because they came from all cities and villages. They didn't just come only from the capitals, and we don't. People come from different sides. But it's true that now we are combined with the Green Party, so we have a red-green cooperation. So we're making ourselves, we talk not about the elections now, a little bit bigger. So it's the red-green cooperation, but I think it's much larger than that. It's much larger than that. We have never been only looking at only our own politicians. It's a progressive movement that hopefully deals in a progressive way with international cooperation. I didn't want to give a big speech. I had a whole text, and I know we have a great speaker. And one of the big things in our conferences is always make sure that we have somebody from Africa who is inviting us to his ideas about Africa. But let me just say 3 things, because we are not only happy to be together to discuss. I think we all realize, and I'm going to be short about it, but if we think about the urgency of our cooperation and the need to think about really equitable partnerships between the variety of African countries and the variety of European countries, we have an enormous challenge. And I think we have also an opportunity, and I sincerely mean that. I see the situation of distrust. I see the issue of double standards. Look at the Gaza war, the Sudan war. And let me just say on the Sudan war, because we cannot not mention it today. Let's call on our governments in Africa and here also in the Netherlands to prioritize this war at this moment with the United Arab Emirates, with Egypt, with the neighboring countries. This bloodbath has to be stopped, and it's fueled outside like many proxy wars. Coming back to the momentum of fragmentation, of polarization in our societies and between our societies, there's also something interesting going on. The interesting part is that Europe stands more on its own. I didn't want to use the T word today. We haven't mentioned President Trump too much. There are many forces in the world that are trying to divide us, but it leads also to some unification on us. We're standing more on our own. But in a few years, 7% of the world population will be European. 18% will be African. That's an interesting formula, if you think about it. The growth, the need for a new young generation to get jobs, to reduce inequality, to have fair chances, requires a new cooperation between Africa and Europe. A Europe that is slightly weaker, but not impotent. An Africa that is more looking at the world, becomes stronger, and finally might lead to a bit more honest cooperation. I don't like the word transactionalism of President T. But many Africans have told us, be more honest. Don't only use the nice words, the progressive words that I'm part of, the do-gooders, if you wish. But also make sure that what you say is actually what you do, and show what you want in your cooperation. Be honest. There's 3 big challenges, and I end with that we all faced, be in Africa or in Europe. Yes, from very different starting positions. From a colonial past, from many differences and distrust. But we all go through 3 big challenges. One is around population, jobs, jobs, jobs in Africa. Inequality in terms of human flows, skills, and artificial intelligence. If you put that together as a big area, you see that we are having to work together on this. Because the challenges, if we don't do, will be marvelous, will be gigantic, will be unavoidable to face and look in the eye. The second one is on peace and security. I'm not going to talk about that now, but I mentioned Sudan, Ukraine, Gaza. Let's not talk about double standards, but get rid of them. Make sure that together we are the supporters of multilateralism. Take political initiatives. Ask our governments to work on it and not sit behind. The third is maybe the most interesting, because today people are moving together in Belém at the COP. I was extremely interested in the African position. I'm sure our speaker today will maybe mention this as well. If we look to the need to get the Paris targets to save our planet, we cannot do this in Europe alone. The growth and the change will be in Africa, where the growth has to take place, but in a sustainable manner. Can we then cut the budget on capital flows, not reduce the debt, make the African people choose between development and ecology, pay back the debt? We have still a negative flow of capital between Africa and Europe. These are 3 big challenges, and I could mention many others. And in the end, for progressive, there is also something else. In both our nations, we have a problem of democratic recession, of autocracy, in different forms, in different modalities. There are enormous new possibilities with the Gen Z. We see that in Kenya and other places. But these enormous risks that we see at the moment with autocracy is something that we will have to face together. And it means that I see also a risk in Europe and in Africa, namely authoritarian regimes in the north working with authoritarian regimes in Africa, using the old extractive model of getting the raw materials from Africa, corruption, and the growth mostly here. That's a big risk. That democratic recession is not something Western or African, it's worldwide. We have to stand up for political and human rights. And I see our government at the moment simply cutting the budget on this. We close, at the moment, we just had a great person coming from South Sudan. We're closing our embassy there. We don't even hear anymore what's going on. So my plea here today is, make also in your own circles, in your own diaspora, in your own political parties, in your own countries, a progressive agenda of our cooperation from humanity and equity, something of a priority. Let's not be it an afterthought or a second choice or something when everything has happened and we think about Africa. That is a plea I would like to say today to all of you, thanking you for the magnificent time we had today in having an honest conversation on this. Rebuilding trust, rebuilding humanity at a time that it is in big peril. And this gives me another opportunity, namely why I'm really standing here, and I should stop immediately. Because we have, people know I sometimes have Castor-like speeches, so I should stop immediately. We have a magnificent speaker from Africa, much more important. He was brought to our attention by somebody who has been for many years a member of the board of the Max van der Stoel Foundation. And I wanted to first thank him for introducing us to this speaker. Where is Yannick? Yannick Dupont, come to the front. And again an applause for Yannick. Thank you. Yannick is not only the development economist, the person who travels all along, who finds new niches, who travels, I think now in Syria, in Gaza, in Africa, makes things happen, not just talk about it. He's been, I think, major for our foundation and for our board. And I wanted to thank him again for another applause for Yannick. Thank you. Thank you. And the best he has done today is bringing us in contact with Dr. Rasool. Dr. Rasool, we are extremely honored that you're with us this afternoon. We have in you a keynote speaker who is from South Africa, who's been in the struggle of the African National Congress, who's been in prison, I understand, also with the great Madiba, Nelson Mandela, who is from the Muslim minority in South Africa, but is, I think, somebody who's always fought for humanity, for equality of rights, for freedom of religion, for respect, and also as a person who's been a lot in this country. So you know a bit of the awkwardness of the Dutch and these kind of meetings. We're particularly honored you are with us today. You really asked me not to go through the CV as somebody tried Milka I was to go through my CV, and keep it very short. We are honored you're with us, and I'm very happy to give you the floor, sir. You have the floor. Dr. Rasool.